In the lush forests of ancient India, a secluded monastery stood as a sanctuary of peace and learning. It was a place where monks devoted their lives to meditation, study, and the pursuit of enlightenment. Among them was a young novice named Ananda, known for his fiery temper and impatience. Despite his dedication to the teachings of the Buddha, Ananda often found himself consumed by anger, especially when faced with the challenges of monastic life. Ananda's temper was well known among his fellow monks. He would easily become agitated when things didn't go as planned, and his outbursts disrupted the serene atmosphere of the monastery. Although he deeply respected the teachings of the Buddha, he struggled to control his emotions, feeling trapped by his own reactions. One day, while Ananda was meditating in a quiet corner of the monastery, an elderly monk named Suddhipala approached him. Suddhipala was revered for his wisdom and calm demeanor, and the monks often sought his guidance. Suddhipala had observed Ananda's struggles and decided it was time to offer him some advice. "Ananda," Suddhipala began gently, "I see that you are troubled by your anger. It disturbs your peace and hinders your progress on the path to enlightenment. Would you like to learn the secret to mastering your emotions?" Ananda looked up at the old monk, a mixture of frustration and curiosity in his eyes. "Master Suddhipala," he replied, "I have tried to control my anger, but it feels like a raging fire inside me. How can I change this?" Suddhipala smiled and motioned for Ananda to follow him. "Come with me, Ananda. I will show you how to extinguish that fire." The power of patience. Suddhipala led Ananda through the forest to a nearby village. As they approached, they heard loud voices and saw a group of villagers arguing heatedly in the marketplace. The scene was chaotic, with people shouting over one another, their faces contorted with anger. "Sit here and observe them," Suddhipala instructed Ananda, pointing to a spot near the edge of the market. "Do not interfere, do not react. Simply watch." Ananda reluctantly sat down beside Suddhipala, his irritation rising as he listened to the villagers' quarrel. He wanted to step in and restore order, to tell them to stop their foolish argument. But Suddhipala placed a calming hand on Ananda's shoulder. "Remember, Ananda," Suddhipala said softly, "the first step to mastering your emotions is to observe without reacting. Emotions are like waves in the ocean, they rise and fall, but they do not last forever." Ananda took a deep breath and focused on the old monk's words. As he watched the villagers, he began to notice a pattern. Their anger was like a fire that fed on itself. The more they argued, the more intense their anger became. But when one of them grew tired and stopped speaking, the flames of their anger began to die down on their own. After some time, the argument subsided, and the villagers went their separate ways, their anger spent and forgotten. Ananda felt a sense of calm wash over him as he realized the power of patience. By not reacting, he had not added fuel to the fire of anger, instead, he had allowed it to burn out naturally. Suddhipala nodded approvingly. "You see, Ananda, when you do not react, you give others the space to calm down and reflect. This is the power of patience. It is the foundation of mastering your emotions." The following day, Suddhipala took Ananda to a different part of the village. They approached a fruit vendor's stall where an elderly man was busy selling his produce. As soon as the old man saw Suddhipala, his expression turned sour, and he began to shout insults. "You lazy monks do nothing but beg and preach useless words." The old man spat angrily. "You are a burden to society." Ananda's temper flared up instantly. He wanted to confront the old man, to defend Suddhipala and demand respect. But before he could act, Suddhipala simply smiled and bowed his head slightly. "Thank you for your words," Suddhipala said calmly. "May you find peace." The old man, surprised by the monk's response, fell silent. He turned away, muttering to himself. But the intensity of his anger had diminished. Ananda was puzzled by Suddhipala's reaction. "Master, Why did you not defend yourself? Ananda asked as they walked away from the stall. That man insulted you. Suddhipala chuckled softly. Ananda, when someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong? Ananda thought for a moment and replied, it still belongs to the person who offered it. Exactly, Suddhipala said, nodding. When someone insults you, they are offering you their anger and negativity. If you do not accept it, it remains with them. By not reacting, you protect your inner peace and allow the other person to keep their negativity. Ananda was struck by the wisdom of Suddhipala's words. He realized that by reacting to the old man's insults, he would have only escalated the situation, creating more anger and conflict. But by not reacting, Suddhipala had remained peaceful and unaffected. The river of emotions. A few days later, Suddhipala took Ananda to a wide river that flowed gently through the forest. The water was clear and calm, reflecting the sky above. Suddhipala sat down on the river bank and gestured for Ananda to join him. Ananda, our emotions are like this river, Suddhipala began. Sometimes, the water is calm and peaceful, like when we are content or joyful. Other times, the river is turbulent and stormy, like when we are angry or upset. But no matter what, the river always flows. It never stops moving. Ananda listened intently, pondering the old monk's words. Imagine you are in a small boat on this river, Suddhipala continued. When the water is calm, it is easy to navigate. But when the water is rough, you must be careful not to let the waves overturn your boat. If you panic and react impulsively, you might capsize. But if you remain calm and steady, you can navigate through the rough waters and reach the other side safely. Ananda nodded, understanding the analogy. So, when our emotions are turbulent, we must remain calm and not react impulsively. Yes, Suddhipala confirmed. When you feel anger, fear, or any strong emotion, do not react immediately. Take a moment to observe your feelings, to breathe and center yourself. Allow the initial surge of emotion to pass, just as the river's waves eventually settle. Then, you can respond from a place of clarity and wisdom, rather than from a place of reactivity. Ananda felt a deep sense of realization dawning within him. He understood that his previous habit of reacting impulsively to his emotions had only led to more turmoil and suffering. But by practicing the power of not reacting, he could maintain his inner peace and navigate the challenges of life with greater ease. Weeks passed, and Ananda diligently practiced the lessons Suddhipala had taught him. He observed his emotions without reacting, remained patient in the face of provocation, and learned to let go of negativity. As a result, he felt more peaceful and centered than ever before. One day, Suddhipala approached Ananda with a serious expression. Ananda, it is time for your final test. If you pass this test, you will have truly mastered the power of not reacting. Ananda felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He was eager to prove himself but uncertain about what the test would involve. Suddhipala led Ananda back to the village where the old man had insulted him. This time, however, the village was in the midst of a conflict. Two rival groups were arguing fiercely over a piece of land, and the situation was quickly escalating toward violence. Your task is to walk through the center of this conflict without reacting, Suddhipala instructed. No matter what they say to you, no matter how they try to provoke you, remain calm and do not respond with anger. If you can do this, you will have passed the test. Ananda took a deep breath and nodded, determined to succeed. As Ananda walked through the center of the conflict, the villagers immediately noticed him. Some shouted insults, others mocked him, and a few tried to block his path. Ananda felt the familiar surge of anger rising within him, but he remembered the river and the lessons Suddhipala had taught him. He focused on his breath, observing his emotions without reacting. At one point, a man grabbed Ananda's arm and sneered, "You think you are better than us, monk? Why don't you pick a side and fight like a real man?" Ananda felt the anger swell within him, but he quickly visualized the turbulent waters of the river settling. He allowed the emotion to pass and responded calmly, "I wish for peace for all of you." The man's grip loosened, and he released Ananda's arm, puzzled by the monk's calm demeanor. Ananda continued walking through the crowd, and gradually, the villagers